Hey, what's up, guys? Ryan Kostrowski, DFS 5-pack. How you doing today? It's the first day of baseball yesterday. Had ourselves some fun slates. We had some NBA. It was a busy day for all of us DFS players who dove in with two hands and just wanted to get all going. So it was a lot of fun. I'm glad we're down to two slates today because three slates in one day is a lot. But I wanted to go through. I thought yesterday was a great example of why you play contrarian in MLB, specifically with some big money players in the early slate. It worked out basically how I was thinking about it in my mind. So it was fresh on my this morning, and I really wanted to talk about it. So let's dive into this bad boy. If you're new to the station, though, and you want more advice for daily fantasy sports, the easiest way to get new videos, hit that subscribe button. The thumbs up is always appreciated, guys. And we are looking for one more Patreon supporter, and we will give away a free membership for the month. So be the next one to sign up, and we'll do the drawing today. All right, guys. Also, just to reiterate, I got a Packers, Bucks, and Brewers channel I started. If you're fans of these teams, please go subscribe to it. The link is down in the description section. It's called Wisconsin Sports Talk. But today I want to talk about why we play contrarian in MLB DFS. So it's just so much different than the other sports. When you find Russell Westbrook in a good spot in NBA, he usually plays well. Like yesterday, for example, when I was writing up the three big outfielders during the day slate, it was Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, and Christian Yelich. Now, Harper was 44.5% owned in my GPP. He scored 4 DK points. Judge was 33% and scored 16 DK points. Yelich was 12.4% and scored 22 points. There's such a glaring difference in scores in baseball. And pretty much because it's such a small sample size, you only get up 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a game. If you were to play this out, let's say there was 100 at bats, Harper got to face the hay around 100 times and so on down the road. Like you would want to pick Bryce Harper every single time. But this is kind of like asking okay, you get 2 minutes of Westbrook, 2 minutes of Giannis, and 2 minutes of James Harden. Okay. I mean, Westbrook might be in the best spot. It doesn't mean Giannis or Harden won't outscore him. And that's why baseball is so different. The best players in the world only get a hit 3 out of 10 times. So when you only get a handful of at-bats in a day, you can hit the ball hard at somebody, and you get such a jump on the field. Like imagine that almost half the people yesterday played Bryce Harper, and he only got 4 points. Imagine if all your lineups had Christian Yelich over them. You got an 18-point bump on the rest of the field right now. That is gigantic. It doesn't work out that way in NBA. In football, a little bit, but not nearly as much. But in NBA, like you never see chalk Giannis, popular Westbrook, completely unowned James Harden, and then Harden goes for 75 and Giannis does 14. Like shit like that happens like once a year when one guy gets injured, and that's really about it. And when I was writing this up yesterday, Bryce was my favorite outfielder too. I played him in cash. I said he was the cash game guy, but that Aaron Judge was a close second and that I liked him a lot, and I just had Bryce as a subtle favorite. The ownership kind of plays out that way. I think like the field thought about like how I did. That's why it was 44 to 33. It made sense. But in the last part, I said, I also really like Christian Yelich, who picked up right where he left off last year in the spring, was hitting everything hard. Yelich hits a 3-run home run. Harper strikes out a couple times. That 18 points can be such a big difference in baseball. I mean, think about it. I had a big lineup yesterday with 160 points in the night slate. Think about what 18 points adds to something like that. I go from, I think it made 5 times buy-in. I make like 20 times buy-in then or something like that if I make that kind of a move in there. So again, it is so much more power to the fade in baseball. And Matt and I have discussed this at length. It's one of the things I feel like I've had to pound this into his head in football and basketball, that trying to be different all the time doesn't work. Just like I've had to listen to him on baseball, that there is so much power in fading, good players. And yeah, sometimes if Matt wants to be super contrarian, it works. And sometimes if I want to ride chalk it in baseball, it works. But ultimately, it's really difficult. And I still struggle with this. This is where Matt is way better than I am for MLB DFS, and the aspect that like he'll eat a loss for a day. If Chalky Machado homers twice, shake it off, move on to the next day, no big deal. Where I still struggle more personally to fade a big money chalky player. I really liked Harper yesterday, but that would have been a great fade and to gone with Christian Yelich or even Aaron Judge, who was significantly better than Bryce Harper. But you got to be willing to eat those losses a couple of times, because when it does work out in your favor, in like you fade Coors on the popular day and you get a team that works out well, like now you're making 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, 100 times your buy-in for the day, whatever it works out if you hit it big. there is so much more power to fading popular guys in MLB than there is in other sports, because like last night, Joel Embiid was amazing and he was like 80% owned. You fade him, your night's over. You know what I mean? Like, and that happens a lot in NBA. But on the flip side, go back to the night slate in baseball as well. Chalky Trout scored, again, 5 points, I think it was? If you had gone a different route, like Chris Bryant and Baez were super popular, but I thought Bryant would be more popular than Trout. I was wrong on that. But just think about fading Trout right there and going with some other guys. Like, there's so much more power to the fade in baseball. And it is tough because when you see a guy in a good spot, it doesn't mean that he always fails, but he, there's a lot of times where he succeeds as well. And when a chalky guy double dongs, like, your day's over. But the thing is, even if you play that guy and he double dongs, like if you pick a guy who's 44% owned and he hits 2 home runs, you're still not necessarily doing shit in your GPPs, like anything at all, because half the field has them. So you're still competing with 44% or whatever it is. So again, I think DFS GOAT is a guy I'm sure some of you guys probably listened to as well. I think it was him who tweeted out at the end of the year last year. It was one of my favorite tweets because it's something we talk about. That if all you do is play contrarian on MLB and that's it, you always go against the grain. At the end of the year, you're probably going to have a really good year. You're probably going to have some good GPP finishes. Focus on that. And for me, as more of a cash game guy, it is tough. I know it. I admit it. It is really tough to fade guys in good spots. But the other thing is, like, Bryce Harper, what did he get yesterday? 3 at-bats versus Teheran? That's 3 at-bats. A lot of things can choose not to go right in 3 at-bats. And then you get into the bullpens, and that's where it can be a draw or something like that. It doesn't mean the other person's in a better situation. If Yelich and Harper each get 5 at-bats yesterday, at best, they're probably facing the starter 3 times. So you're evaluating based on the starter, but all that goes out the window for 40% of the at-bats. So I'm trying to do this more this year, and it is tough, and it is a struggle, a personal struggle of mine, because I loved Harper yesterday, but also knew he'd be popular, and there was so much power to the fade. But just being different, and that works so much better in MLB, and that's where Matt and I have talked about, like, trying to complement one another and what we do in this. And I still try to listen to him. Like, he always wants to be different in baseball, and that's why you saw him with like multiple $20,000 plus wins last year. I mean, I can't have that because I don't play in those big money tournaments, but like, I wasn't doing the same thing. I don't fade the popular guys, as much as he does. And when they don't work, you can have a big night as long as you get your player right. I mean, if you look at a night where like Nolan Arenado and Chris Bryant are on the same slate at third base, and Arenado's 75% owned and Bryant's 5, Arenado, gets a single and RBI for 5 points, and Bryant hits a home run, takes a walk and gets a single and gets 21. You got 16 points up on 70% of the field. That is a huge jump up, and it's like only needed in that one play, for example. So, all right, end rant, guys. I just thought it was such a great time to get on here and talk about it because it's the second day of baseball. Because we had such a perfect example work out in the day slate yesterday, I really thought it was fresh in my mind and gave us a great opportunity to discuss this. It does take some weird kind of discipline to allow yourself to play different consistently. I mean, if you really love a guy, I'm not saying don't play him. I'm just saying really consider how you approach MLB DFS and know that there are going to be plenty of days you lose. But if you lose 6 days in a week, but you take 10 times your buy-in back on day 7, that's still, a profit on the week. It's not like, to me, like NBA, you still have to win more than 50% of the days if you're focusing on cash games. In MLB, you can lose, have a big day, lose, have a really big day, and so on and forth down the road. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Regular scheduled DFS advice will be out coming up quick. Thank you.